Mike in the Woods here. If you've been paying any attention at all to my channel, you'll know that the very first video I did was a complete teardown of my bug out bag. Now it's been well over a year since then, and I have learned a lot. So I have redesigned it from the ground up with all the things I've learned over the past year or so taken into account. I completely gutted it and rebuilt it, partially because I want to keep my camping kit separate from my bug out kit. So my bug out kit is now a completely isolated bag, and whenever I want to go backwoods camping, I do not have to rip apart my bug out bag to get at a lot of my gear. It can sit there on its own and not be touched unless I specifically want to go test out that bug out bag or I actually need to bug out. Another part of the redesign was that I realized that in a bug out situation I would not want to leave without my everyday carry bag. So if I have my E.D.C bag with me, that covers a lot of bases that I don't need to cover in my bug out bag. So my bug out kit consists of both my E.D.C bag and my bug out bag. So as I go through my bug out bag, you'll notice some things missing, and those are covered in my E.D.C bag, which I've done a teardown of, and I'll link that in the description of the video if you want to check that out. I took out a lot of wilderness related things, such as firewood processing, and even my sleep system has been reduced in size and weight. After my backwoods camping trip, I knew I had to cut out a lot of weight and bulk. So here we go. Okay, so like I said, my bug out loadout will consist of my everyday carry bag, which I've linked in the description for the teardown of that, and this is my new bug out bag. I've repurposed an old bag I had. It's much smaller and keeps me with a lot less weight and bulk to heft around compared to my old bug out bag. So let's start off with what I have on the outside. So you've probably seen this in the prior bug out bag teardown. This is my solar powered hand crank radio, just for emergencies. If they're broadcasting updates about any emergencies that are going on, I can listen in on the go. As well, it's a bit of morale when I'm able to listen to music if I'm stopped off for the night. Additionally, I have my sling bow that I custom designed and 3D printed. Right, so I've shown this off a few times before, but this is completely 3D printed. It's got a removable yoke for switching back and forth between firing arrows and firing regular pebbles. I've got my sleeping bag, which is just rated down to, I believe it's like 4 degrees or 0 degrees or something like that. It is the summertime. Come the cold weather, I can swap this out for a more heavier duty sleeping bag, but this is what I got for now. Going into the front pouch here. So because the bag's so small, I've just had to stuff things in any which way I can find space for. So I've got MREs, which are individually packaged for 24-hour meal kits. So I've just got a bunch of stuff in there. I've got some protein, I've got some oatmeal, I've got tea, I've got instant noodles, I've got the Knorr sidekicks, which make excellent camping food. This is part of my long-term sustainability options. It's a modified rat trap with a bar under the tension spring and a chin bar. And both of these modifications allow it to have much more lethality when it's snapping down on whatever's caught in it. So this is for catching small game like squirrels or anything small enough that might find its way in there. Going into the top pouch, I've got 2 hand warmers in case the nights get cold, some extra heat source. I've got my part of my fire starting kit, which is a lot of packed down dryer lint, which is really good tinder for getting fire started, and a box of matches. Going into the next pouch here, I've got the other 2 MREs, so in total I've got 3. Each one is for about a day, so that's 72 hours of food, which in an absolute emergency, this could probably stretch out to 4 days. Got my brand new mess kit, which consists of, if I can get everything off of there, I've got a little stove here that I can use as a twig burner or an alcohol stove. I've got my cooking pot with measurements on it for measuring out a very specific amount of water. Cleaning cloth, my spork, just a plastic one. Little alcohol stove, another small bowl. I've got my map of Ontario in case GPS goes down or my phone battery dies. I have a manual way of finding my way around Ontario, which is where I live. This is my fishing kit in a custom 3D printed box. So I've got fishing line in there, I've got some various lures, I've got some hooks, and I've got some leads. Moving on. So I've got an extra change of clothes, right? So boxers, socks, shirt, and pants. Got my mini SAS survival guide, which I've started reading through, but it's nice to have a tiny little one as reference if I need it. Got my my ShamWow towel for drying off, filtering, and any other uses that I need it for. Now, one thing that not a lot of people have to worry about, but I do, is where I live. I'm actually nestled between two nuclear power plants, one to the east and one to the west. So the chance of something happening is high enough where, you know, I afforded the extra space and weight for a couple of masks. Like, I think they're N95 dust masks, just in case I need to filter the air I'm breathing. And I've got, this is my water solution. It's a BeFree water bag. So you just fill it up with any old dirty water. On my last backwoods camping trip, I had like nasty water with flies and stuff in there. And that's the filter. And it filters it out as you drink through it. So it's pretty small, pretty lightweight, pretty compact. You'll notice I don't actually have any water with me in the bag. And that's because I determined that when I'm bugging out, I will have as much access to water as I need. Because I actually live within reasonable distance of the lake and multiple other water sources. So having actual water with me to go is not much of a necessity. And in the absolute necessity that I do need to bring some water with me, I can have a water bottle full of water in my cup holder in my E.D.C bag when I leave. So as for my sleep system, you'll notice it's very simple, very lightweight, and very minimalistic. And this is not meant for comfort, this is meant for survivability. So I've got just a large space blanket I picked up from the dollar store that's big enough to tie off into a tarp shelter. It doesn't have any grommets, so I'd have to tie it off with, like, say, a buttoning solution or with rocks, as shown here. I've got a space blanket for extra insulation if my sleeping bag is not enough. And then the very last thing, obviously, is my carbon fiber arrow that I picked up that just has a training tip on it. Because I have actual hunting tips, but they're far too dangerous to cart around without a lot of bulk and weight. And I figure this is enough for what I'd be using it for. And I'm not trying to take out, like, friggin' deer or something with it. This would be for small game anyways. So that's it. That is my 2019 bug out bag loadout. You'll notice it's a lot smaller. There's a lot less in it. It weighs a lot less. And it's a lot more simplified and to the point in what it's trying to accomplish. So remember that it's whatever is in here combined with what's in my E.D.C bag, which again, I've linked the teardown to that in the description below. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but feel free to leave some comments below. Always happy to learn new things and try out new things for my kit. And yeah, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and all the other BS that I gotta pester you guys to do. Cheers, guys.